That's the thing about trauma. It hits everybody different, and it hits even worse if you don't realize you got it. And I really felt that line when I typed it. I can remember sitting there on the couch or in my bathtub or whatever. My wife's sitting there and she's just begging me for something, like tell her something about how I'm feeling. I had 20 different answers to her question, but I didn't know which one was the right one to say. And that was really hard to break through.
Well, I'm gonna sit down and write all my feelings into a song, which I don't know how to write. I'm not good with rhyming. I don't know how strong such a poem. It just seems like what something really smart people do. And I'm definitely not gonna hire a hip hop group and an orchestra and a rock band
Yeah.
and a Taylor Swift band to figure out how that all works together, right? Welcome everybody to AI DIY. I'm the AI music guy. This is Dilly Hits, Dylan. We've been talking for a couple months through the website. I've featured his music before. I just thought he'd be a really good feature because he touches on some really interesting subjects, personal subjects, and a lot of people in the AI music community are writing about personal stuff and connection. And also, he's doing a lot of stuff on social media. So I just wanted to have a chat with him. I know this conversation is going to go in a few different ways, and I love that. Welcome, Dylan. I appreciate you being here. Let's talk about some stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's exciting and let's get into it.
Nice. Well, how did you come about the AI DIY channel initially? Like, what sort of happened? What brought you here, and what motivated you? And also, no question, no answers are wrong. Like, I just like this to be authentic.
Yeah, 100%. I was thinking about that actually earlier. How did I, find you and find the community? And honestly, I think it was because on my music YouTube side, obviously I've been looking at AI stuff and exploring that kind of thing. And I think honestly, it just organically came onto my homepage with one of your music feature weeks, and I clicked on it and went from there. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm I find it's actually nice because doing that, you find music styles that normally you wouldn't venture into, so your feature week's actually really cool that way too, because it shows off some, AI rock and roll, AI, blues or jazz and that kinda stuff, so keep doing what you're doing because it definitely opens up someone's broadens their perspective of what's out there for AI music.
Yeah. Look, I never make shit up on here. No, I think I have to say that. Like when you said keep doing that, like I got those happy chills like literally go through me because, you do stuff like I'm not immune to people coming back and giving like positive feedback or saying nice things and stuff. Um, a lot of times when I'm doing those features and I'm going through, like I'm just going, am I doing this right? Am I too repetitive? Am I mixing up genres too much? So I appreciate you saying that because, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, check my channel. I do 5 featured AI artists weekly. It should be easy enough to find, but I too, I like go, you know what, I enjoy, and sometimes, like I'll hit 20 sad songs in a row, and then I'll just get a pumped up, happy beat song, and it impacts me too. It's really good. I enjoy it. Unfortunately, there's genres that I'm not really good at connecting with, but I still enjoy them to the point. And there's two. There's two that I'm trying really hard, and one is like R&B, hip hop stuff, and the other is country, right? Like I like that. I like that stuff. I like getting through it, but I have a really tough time breaking down whether it's good or bad. Some of the stuff hits, right? But whatever. But anyway,
Yeah.
what are some of the genres like you're doing? I noticed like there's at least two that I've seen you do.
Yeah, so at the moment, like I'll go back a little bit. The first AI, like the first three AI songs I made, were just random generation songs, which I think a lot of people probably
Yeah.
start with, just to kind of get an idea of what AI can do, and they grow from there, right? So I made songs that I no longer have though because it's not something I want to represent me because I have a different level of quality I like to put out now, right? The first one that I actually wrote myself was a country song, and I did that because my wife's into country. She loves it. Her whole family does. So I did that because I felt like it's something that she could listen to. And what I made it about is, I work away from home 3 months at a time. So I wrote one that explains how I feel when I'm away, and then also how I feel when I'm home too. because when I'm home, I'm thinking about, am I going to have enough for the bills? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to take care of them the way I'm supposed to? And then when I'm here, I want to be home
Mm.
because the wife and kids. So I put that one out, and it was a couple months before I did another one, which is one that you featured, which was called "Feel Your Pain." And I was inspired by that one because my wife suffered an injury at work that actually caused her to kind of lose all self confidence because she couldn't do anything for herself for a little while. So she was experiencing a lot of anxiety and a lot of, again, self doubt. So I didn't know what that's like to go through, but I did my best to tell her through the song that I understand and that this is how I feel when you feel that way. And it kind of progressed from there. Once I did that, I got a good response back from a lot of people.
I
So
was going to mention that. I was going to mention that. I'll quickly jump in there because after it was featured, I obviously encouraged people to go and leave comments. And obviously there was comments there before, but I'm particularly proud of the community members that sort of do that. And there was there were people that literally said they were crying, and they got super emotional connecting because obviously they can identify. Yeah.
yeah,
So talk about like yeah. We'll keep going, but yeah, include like how that make you feel when you see that other people make that connection to something you created in music.
yeah. And feel free to, if I'm rambling, to tell me I'm
No,
rambling
no,
because
I
I can
just
keep
feel like I
going.
have to jump in from time to time,
Yeah, no, hundred
but
percent.
also
Yeah,
there's points that I want to make like when I pull those out, I did notice that, and it touches me like you get the trolls that come and tell you. And I don't want to talk about trolls in every interview and stuff like this is crap, and then you look at comments on someone that
right.
created a song with AI of something personal, and people for real are connecting with something you made in a
Yeah,
real way,
uh,
very real way.
yeah. And honestly, I'm proud of it. It also turns into, I want to make sure I'm not putting out songs just to put them out too,
Mm,
right? Like,
mm.
I want to put out songs that I can honestly listen to. And actually, I think it was one of your interviews you did. The gentleman said if he can listen to it 10 times,
Yeah, David.
um,
Yeah,
David, yes, then he knows it, for him, it's worth putting out, I believe he said. That actually stuck with me, and I kind of took that to myself too. Like for the next few songs I put out, I believe the next one I put out was one we'll talk about a little bit later, which was What Could Have Been.
mm.
And that
I
one
definitely want
for
to talk about
me,
that later. Yeah.
yeah, that one for me, I took a lot of pride in that one, especially because I'm not, funny enough, I write music, but I'm not always the best at expressing myself. And my wife and I was having this conversation actually. She goes, "I'm really glad that you're able to talk about what happened, the context of that song more." I go, "I don't know if it's more of that or I just found the right way for me to express it, which is through music." Because AI music isn't my first take with music. I tried it when I was like 15 and that kind of stuff too, right? So, um,
Well,
in a roundabout,
I remember you mentioned that you were writing a lot when you were younger. I wasn't sure about your touching on music previously.
yeah, I did the whole try to do rap thing, and I didn't do very well at it. But
You're
even
like
back
me.
then, yeah, even back then, I kind of take a bit more. I'm thinking about like how I used to write, and compared to now, it's the same style. It's just more experienced, more polished, right? 'Cause even back then, I was trying to write in a more of a story aspect of that kind of stuff. So it's interesting, you get to an age you can start reflecting on what you were, say, 10 years ago,
It's if this
right?
feels like a song. You, you know,
Yeah.
like I never wrote. Well, like I can like once in a while I'd write poems. I go, I'm not bad at this, but it was never really something I connected to. But I just feel like for the audience, that like once back yourself. Once you like, I'm just feeling you back yourself. Like you start looking at stuff, and people think like, oh, no one's gonna want to hear this or whatever. But you start make that authentic connection to what you're writing, even if you're using AI to do that. If you're putting your stuff through there, back yourself and put stuff out there because somebody's going to connect.
Yeah, and like you were asking there, how does it feel for people to be able to relate to your songs and what it feels like? It's honestly, you start small, right? And you dip your toes into things, and it's like Ed Sheeran. He tried, I think it was 4 or 5 different styles where he found one that worked for him. So when I start seeing the response to the style of music I'm doing right now, it was nice because I've had myself people reach out and go, your songs are really helping me, and you sit there and you go, you hear about other artists getting this kind of response. But when you do it yourself, you really do start to feel a bit more of a not a expectation, but maybe a bit more. You take more pride in it because you know it
Mm,
matters to people, right?
mm.
So, and I go on like all of my songs except for one is from personal experience, and the fact it's helping people, I feel a bit more open to writing it, and also listening to it that 10 times to make sure does this feel right to me? Is this the right way I want to paint this picture, or do I want to go back and maybe tweak some ways that it's been represented to sound a bit more authentic, or a bit more not just talking about I or how about more how other people can feel, right?
Yeah. Well, this is what I'm hoping these interviews can do, right? Is is someone picks something up there, someone identifies with something, because I definitely have. I don't have, like I mentioned, I don't have a huge history of writing music. Like I was like in high school, I played trumpet, I was in chorus, I was in plays, like there was theater and stuff that I did. Then after high school, I went to a lot of varied like concert bands and opera and plays and stuff like that. So like I've always been deeply into listening music, but not so much the creation. And part of this journey for me has been talking to people in the background, interviewing, getting people's tips. And like you, I've applied some stuff that I've done directly because I picked up stuff from this. So that's yeah. So like that's what I really want to talk about with the community, and it looks like you've picked that up as well. And I'm hoping that people will pick some stuff up from what you're saying.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I put out a short a couple days ago about I honestly had no idea what I was gonna write next after I just put out my last song. And then I had a conversation with one person, and it sparked interest and inspiration into one I haven't put out quite yet. Um, but yeah, like I definitely agree with what you're saying. How we'll put this interview out, and then who knows who's gonna watch it, right?
Yeah.
And with us talking about where we got our inspiration, or something maybe comes up in a little bit, we don't know how it's going to resonate with somebody. And then they go, you know what? I'm going to try this. This guy can do it. This guy in an apartment in Canada can do it.
Freaking
I
Canada,
can
woo
too, right?
woo.
Yeah, there we
What I
go.
say, I identify as Canadian.
Yes, I remember you saying that. Yes. Is that kind of where you were thinking, like, that's what you're referencing? It's like
Yeah,
people
yeah,
can pick
all
up
that
stuff
stuff.
from
It's
anywhere,
all
right?
good. It's all good. Like people, that's what's exciting to find out who's going to pick up on what. It's really cool like
Yes.
that, you know. And you don't know;
Yes.
it just comes out of nowhere. But you mentioned you made a video too. This is the thing. This is another thing I want to talk about. I'm seeing you pop up a lot on social media in your area and talking about what you're doing and all that. So like we can go. I'd like to go down the rabbit hole of this one because I haven't really talked too much about the social media aspect because now a lot of people in this space are posting on YouTube or whatever for the very first time.
Yeah.
Is this a new sort of thing? Is this like the first time you're posting on social media trying to get a following? Because no, it's not. You've done before. Okay.
Far from it.
Oh, nice. I'd love to hear this then.
Um, well, there's many things that I've tried before AI music, and I can go off on a tangent if you want, or I can keep it simple. It's up
No,
to
no, do
you.
what you like we said.
Uh,
People are going to pick out things from this, right? So go ahead and talk about it. Like you've done social media. This is my feeling.
yeah,
It's lonely to start, and you don't know who's going to connect. You don't know if you're doing anything right.
yeah.
If you, I don't know if you've had successes before. I see you putting out regular content, but yeah, definitely talk about that because people need to hear your
Okay.
experience.
So I believe I first started trying YouTube at the age of 11,
Nice.
and it was a buddy of mine, and I can't remember who else. It was another one of his friends. I started a gaming channel, like DY Pickle 211 Gaming was what it was called, and I just thought it was really cool. Just people you put it was Minecraft what we were doing. I had a little netbook. It was about this big. I could barely run
You
Minecraft, but
you did Minecraft before it was cool, and it's been cool in the last 2 months.
yes. Well, I did Minecraft before it was cool for the last three times. You
Oh,
know, goes up, goes back down, goes up,
yes.
goes back down.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Right. That's a whole other story.
Yeah. Well, it's a
uh,
YouTube, 11 years old,
yeah.
gaming
So I did
Minecraft.
that for a while, and I never really got anywhere with it. And then I tried it about three different times. There was another one called Xbox Override, just DY Pickle, Dylan James, whatever. I did YouTube about four or five times, and then didn't really work out. Never got that big one video that took off, right? So went from there, and I went into music. I tried rap. I tried you know, writing my own songs, and then actually went to the studios. That was a local studio where I'm from. Again, never really took off, and I think there was a couple of reasons for that. I don't think the guy was doing it was actually doing it properly, but I was a kid and whatever, didn't know any better.
Hmm.
So I eventually gave up on that, and I went into actually Shopify drop shipping as well, trying all that stuff out. I spent actually quite a bit of time on that one, and I still have followers who have found me on the music side of things that supported me back then.
Nice.
Uh, there is Sarah, there's Jen. I really appreciate everybody who has stuck with me.
I
It,
love the
it's
shout outs.
also
Yeah.
yeah, Sarah, Jen. There's a bunch of them. There's actually two Sarahs. I don't have the list in front of me, but those are who I've been talking to more recently again. Um, and that is also very special to have someone that dedicated to what you're trying to do to follow you through all these different things that you have done.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're a
So I
likable
tried
guy.
that.
I'll be following you.
Well, I
And
appreciate
and
that.
and name drop in your next podcast as well.
Well, thank you. So yeah, I tried drop shipping. I tried drop shipping movie posters. That was one of the things I had a little bit of success in, but I never made any money on it either. I tried doing makeup, of all things, for like 2 years, trying to sell lipsticks and that kind of stuff. Never worked out.
Yeah.
So I moved on from that,
But
and
I just want to
then,
pick that part, right? Like
yep,
you, like I'm finding because I've done a lot of that stuff too, drop shipping and all that and then things too. It's just important to
yep.
keep doing, right? Like you're not gonna get your hit on the first attempt of something you do. And like I mentioned, a lot of people that follow this are probably doing YouTube or some sort of media release for the very first time, and they're not getting success 3 weeks later. And the impression probably is that everybody's an overnight success, but yeah, but everybody's an overnight success in something they started 10 years ago. You know?
That's just it, and I had a hard time giving up, I'll say, on the drop shipping side because I did put probably, I think I was 17. I probably put a good 5 years of off and on, trying to make it work.
Yeah,
Thousands of dollars, hundreds of hours,
yeah,
refining, learning, seeing what looked better, and I'm very meticulous when it comes to that kind of stuff as well. If something's just not quite right, I'll spend half an hour fixing it.
yeah,
But I'll say it there. I've watched those videos that pop up, how to become a success at this instantly. It really, you don't have to have it perfect at the first time.
yeah.
Put it
No.
out there.
Mm-mm.
Which also ties into
This
the
isn't just
music
drop
thing.
shipping. This is everything.
Yeah.
Let me ask you too. Like, were you in like Shopify or drop shipping community groups or people other people that did it, masterminds and things like that, or was this just something you did on your own?
Mainly on my own, and I'll say the reason I could be wrong. I found a lot of the community groups were filled with people who wanted to sell you
Yeah,
the
you got
secret
to find the right
sauce,
one. You got to find the right one.
right?
Yeah,
And I'd say maybe a little bit at first I was a bit arrogant, thinking, "Oh no, I know what I'm doing. I know what I got my vision. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. So, um, it's the wrong approach to have with, honestly, if not all, but most things. Be open to different ideas
Yeah.
and points of
But
feedback.
this, yeah, that's why them, and I want to relate this everything back. That's why the
Yeah.
masterminds are good. Like I'm in different groups for business entrepreneurship or YouTubing and things like that. And the stuff I've picked up, I wouldn't be able to be there. Like it's funny because you mentioned Shopify because I know something that does really well in
Yeah.
Shopify, but also like with business and anything else, it's a grind and it's hard and it's not easy. It doesn't work straight away. And even when it's working, it doesn't look like it's working. Like he's living with his parents for the last 5 years. Yes, I've known since 2020. He's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, but it just goes back into the business. He's not living some kind of, you know, going around the world lifestyle. You have
Yeah.
to grind. And it's the same thing with this. Like, and this is the biggest thing that you see. Well, everything is the biggest thing. Like, but it's one of the biggest things people talk about is how do I make money? How can I be successful? No one listens to my stuff, but it's a grind. And sometimes you might even be successful and you don't even know successful because, you got two people following you now. It's not 100 and you're not making millions of dollars, but keep doing that. And like
Yeah.
Dylan, you sort of hinted that at one point you should have known when to pull the pin, but maybe it should have been being part of a community, and someone could have said, "I've done this 100 times, and I want to pick it." That's what you're doing wrong. It could have been that one thing, but it could have just been
Yeah.
that you needed to pack it up and go too.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, it's something I feel like you develop the ability to maybe take that point of feedback, and you're not, a little chink in your armor. As you do it longer, you feel a bit more comfortable, right? Like, okay, I've tried all this. What it could I, like you said, what could I possibly be doing wrong? And someone who is successful go, oh, it's just this one thing, or maybe it's two or three things. So I do agree. If I was in those communities, I would have made it doing that.
But that's
It
the
was just,
learn. That's the learn you
yeah,
possibly took from it. Like I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I could say, I failed. And looking back on it, I know, I could have done better had I done this. And a lot of it is
yeah.
just not having experience. But, you definitely would have learned stuff from there and started taking this channel. So this YouTube channel that you're running now, not the music part of it, but what are you trying to accomplish with this? Get another following? You're trying to draw more attention to your music? Or are you just trying to have fun? What's the goal of this latest thing? And I'll link in here as well.
Well, I don't know if I mentioned, I don't actually have a one I'm really trying to build besides my music one. I have my old channels that if I have something funny I want to do, I'll randomly throw it on there.
Ah, okay, yeah,
My
yeah.
main focus is
Is
the
the
music
music?
one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
I was
the
just
other
seeing your
channels,
shorts coming up a bit, and they're varied, and they come up every couple days. So I was thinking maybe.
um, no, I post pretty much everything to the Dilly Hits one.
Yeah,
There's some videos I put out, and a couple days later, I'm like, well, maybe I'll take that off of there. It was just kind of funny for the moment, right?
yeah,
Like I have my original like Dylan James channel, which I'll randomly post like gaming clips on there that I've saved from my PlayStation or something like that, right?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, the Dilly Hits one is the one I'm really trying to just focus on organically, grow it up. And, I find it also helps to kind of like, which is same with everything, just be yourself. Don't
Mm,
rely on the resume, right?
yeah, yeah,
You know, for me, like, all once in a while, I'll post a funny clip on my music page, which has nothing to do with music. I just thought it was funny, right?
yeah, yeah.
And, if you put little tidbits like that, people will start to kind of just like who you are, not just the songs, right? They kind of get to know you and your style, your personality,
Yeah.
which I think is important personally.
I think that's probably the most important thing, especially like I could just talk from my experience. Um, I want to do this for 10 years, and I I wouldn't be able to do this for 10 days if I had to put on a persona and pretend to
Yes,
be something I'm not. I just wouldn't enjoy it. Like if I'm getting comments that you did a really good job with that and I love that, it's not even it wouldn't be towards me. It'd be towards some bullcrap thing that I'm doing. So like that
I
feedback you get would be pointless.
I couldn't agree more, Matt. Honestly, um,
And not
it'd be
everybody
more
has to like you.
exhausting.
Not everybody has to like you. Just the people you
Yep.
connect with are liking you, and that's even better, even more rewarding.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you've seen it yourself, right? Like I put out a clip and someone commented on the short saying, "You're not a real musician." Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Right. But that's the cool
Okay.
thing. That's what I love, right? Like within this community that we're all starting to form, we are real musicians, and other people may be out or whatever. And the thing is, like, that matters. Like we're all doing it. Well, the ones that are doing it know what we're doing, know what it takes, and if someone like that knows what you're doing, knows what it takes, goes, I really like that. Like, who cares if some other person
Yep.
goes, oh, I don't think you're a real musician. Okay, how many channels are there on
Okay.
YouTube? Go to one of those.
Yep. Yep. No, I completely agree, and I'm hoping that it can kind of steer into the thought behind AI music in the community if the conversation gets there
No,
eventually.
go there, because I don't. I want to move into some deeper stuff, but if you can do that go for it.
Yeah. Um, so one thing I found interesting, and maybe it's a little less, maybe not surprising, but just cool, like the way that AI is nowadays, and honestly, aside from the music stuff, I don't know a whole lot about AI. You know, that's not my expertise in the least. Um, the amount of people that I have to tell that it's AI singing it is astounding. That
Four
we've
point
gotten to
five
that
has definitely
point.
pushed that boundary. Yeah.
Well, with Suno, yes, yeah, and even back when I was using Udio
Mm.
before I swapped over, same thing. I have to tell people it's not me, which I think the fact that we've gotten to that point in just technology alone, where it's passable, is both for being realistic and thinking outside the box. It's scary, but very, very interesting
Mm.
that something can pass off as that believable.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's good, a lot of like what we do here, right, is trying to be authentic and real and good, right? We're trying to be good, and we're
Yeah.
all trying to be good for each other and be helpful to each other. And it's funny because when this comes up, what is passable is real. It pretty much leads to some of the stuff that you say looks real, but is evil. It's like coming up on my feed and telling me to invest in some thing, and it looks like local news media, but it's not.
Yeah.
And what's cool about our community is like I had this thing like I told you I've done business mentoring before, and this guy that's in the front of it that I bought in because I've been following this guy for years, and I was in the front row of his thing, and he was having a really heartfelt conversation about you have to make it one day. It's not as hard as you think to be successful in business and have funds. And then he turns and he's like, and when you do, you need to heal the world, meaning like it's time to. And it was a whole context around like all the bad stuff that's happened on the internet and around the world, and it's your job to be something good in that, right? And we take that same technology where people are screwing old people out of their life savings, and we say, look, here's a thing where I've taken that exact same technology that sounds real, and I'm putting it to something that's really deeply personal to me. And you've spoken about how it's kind of been a therapy to you before. It's sort of healed you. Why
A
don't you
little
talk
bit, yeah.
about like talk about your song, "What Could Have Been," and what that's meant to you in making it, and what that's done for your relationship or whatever, however you want to go with that.
So the song "What Could Have Been," for those that don't know, I'm very open about it too. I know you had
And that's
mentioned
why
this.
if
I
you don't
didn't
feel
want to.
comfortable, that's fine. Like
No,
I think
no,
I was aware that
100%
yeah,
open book. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so I wrote it because my wife and I, we had our firstborn was April 13th, 2018. Yes, that's what it was. We had a daughter. Her name was Holly, and then 8 months later, she passed away due to influenza type A. And as a, a young man and young woman who weren't even 20 yet, um, didn't know how to process it properly. And my wife and I, we've been together since we were both 15. So for the first 3 years of relationship, sunshines, roses, because we didn't have anybody to worry about except for ourselves, right? So then we got pregnant, and I talked with this more in my newer song Apart and the one that hasn't come out yet. It kind of started going like this because we have to adjust to not just worrying about ourselves, but a human being who's coming into this world, and there's new feelings, and obviously, a woman, she's going through a lot because her body's changing and hormones, and as a young man, I don't know how to really deal with that, and it's all new experiences, right? And I don't mind talking about myself in the negative state either, because there's no point of, like we said, putting on a face and then it's not really true. So going to that, when she passed away, we didn't know how to process it properly. And, I talked to my mom about it, and she's the same way. She kind of just internalizes everything,
Mm.
and she's able to, like me, I can detach myself from that and not deal with it, which is not the right thing to do. So, and the song What Could Have Been, I basically talk about, we don't know what she would have been like at this point. She would have been 7.
Mm.
So, how many friends would she have? Or, what would be her favorite, food? What would be her favorite class? What would be her favorite activity? We don't know. So the song What Could Have Been, I kind of kept all the negative stuff out of it because I didn't feel like it was the right place to put it. I more wrote that as I actually had the idea for a long time. And originally, I wanted the song to kind of be structured like that song called I think it's called 7 Years. Like once I was 7 years
Oh yeah,
old, my
yeah, yeah,
daddy, blah blah.
yeah.
So I kind of wanted to structure it as the same way. When you were 7, or when you were
Mm.
15, when you were 18, like what would you have been, right? So that's how I originally wanted to go down, but it didn't end up that way, which is fine. It turned into its own thing, which is completely fine and part of the creation. You have this idea on paper, but originally you're going to build a car, but you end up with a hoverboard or whatever you want to go with. It changes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'll
I, I,
just quickly.
yeah,
That's a cool thing about music writing that I didn't know is when you start working with a song, it sort of takes on its own life. It's
yeah,
incredible, beautiful thing that I didn't know about. But you go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. No, no. Feel free to jump in anytime because I can keep rambling.
No, it's an important story. It's a important because it's personal and it goes to songwriting. So
Yeah. So, and I put the song out, once I felt it was done. It took me a few days to get her to where I wanted to be with writing and ideas, and blah blah blah. And when I put it out, I did tell people, I was like, this isn't all of it. There's going to be more. Um, and I know when I put it out, like I made my grandfather cry, made my wife cry, my mother-in-law, everyone who listened to it just bawled, right? And they go, I had no idea that you felt like this. They go, well, it's not that I never felt it. It's just I didn't know how to personally, for me, put it into words, because I have a way of wanting to express myself. And like I said, being able to write the music and kind of just sit there with the headphones on and go, yeah, that doesn't sound right. So I'm going to change it over to how I think should represent how I actually feel about it. And I went from there into my other song called Stolen, which I almost didn't put out because it diverted away from the other songs I wrote, which were more anybody could listen to them, and it's something that most people could relate to. And with that one, I sat down at this table right here. I typed out the first verse, hit play, and it instantly was like, "That's the sound I'm going
mm.
for." And I like to say it's a song I just didn't care. I put what I thought into it. Didn't care how people thought about it. It was more or less me just hitting the keys and going, "Yep, this pissed me off. This pissed me off," because it was about her as well, right? And how I felt about it. And one of the lines I put in there was, that's the thing about trauma. It hits everybody different, and it hits even worse if you don't realize you got it. And I really felt that line when I typed it, because I can remember sitting there on the couch, or in my bathtub or whatever. My wife's sitting there and she's just begging me for something,
Mm.
like tell her something about how I'm feeling, which where a lot of my problems came from in the relationship. She wanted something, I just didn't know how to say it. I had three different responses to her, or I think I said 20 in the song, whatever. 20 different answers to her question, but I didn't know which one was the right one to say.
Yeah.
And that was really hard to break through. It took therapy, it took a lot of healing, and just acknowledging that it's okay to not have the perfect answer for every question. Because I
Dude,
was trying to put a
you're
persona.
making me think. Like this is why I love these chats. Like I'm just you're talking, and I hate to interrupt you, but I'm just taking a
No.
lesson from this. Like we don't like I'm not sure if you published that one or not, but I'm thinking like because music
Yep.
connects to us, right? Like you don't have to take every single song and use Suno and Udio and ChatGPT, or you're writing on paper and putting stuff in your deep thought. That doesn't have to be for everybody to witness. Like because music and listening to it and breaking down and spending time with the song, like it's a really good chance for people to communicate with themselves and to
Yep.
figure out ways to communicate to other people too, because the music is a connection. I just think when my daughter was like 6, 7 months old, whatever, I remember we'd play her music. We never taught her to dance. We'd play a song and she'd go like this, right? Like because
Yeah.
music somehow connects to people on more than a way than just words do. So like you're working this stuff out because you don't know how to communicate it, and then you're communicating it to yourself through the song, and you're spending time putting it on paper, even though paper computer it's figurative paper. Don't take it
Yeah. I get
everything
what
I
you're
say
saying.
literally. It's a metaphor. Like
Yeah.
you're putting it to paper, and you're breaking it down, and then you're able to communicate in a way with your wife. I'm assuming that you couldn't do before.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have to publish it. It doesn't have to be something you put on YouTube. You can if you want. You could write. I guess in this way, like if you're struggling to communicate, you're struggling with your feelings. You don't know how to communicate. Maybe put them down and put them to a song, and the genre probably matters too.
Yeah. And you know what? You're 100% right because you bring that up. And now I'm thinking, I can remember um, during not call them disagreements, but just her asking me a question, I felt more comfortable running into my office I had, typing it out, and then sending it to her because I was able to kind of feel it more instead of having to think it. I'm I don't have time to maybe backspace because it's already typed, right? I just keep on going and just keep on going. I felt a lot more comfortable putting into words than more speaking it. And I don't know the answer as to why, um, but I did.
Dude, I reckon this stuff is. I say reckon now because I live in Australia. I didn't used to say reckon, but um, I, I just think this is the key that people need. Like it's just hitting as you're talking now, and I've heard this the interview I had with Dom and stuff. It was similar. It sort of made that connection, but I'm really starting to think that this is what people need because it was so accessible. Like the idea I think of people, it never would have occurred to people. I'm gonna sit down and write all my feelings into a song, which I don't know how to write. I'm not good with rhyming. I don't know how strong such are. It just seems like what something really smart people do, and I'm definitely not gonna hire an hip hop group and an orchestra and a rock band
Yeah.
and a Taylor Swift band to figure out how that all works together, right? So in this way, because like I said, the music connects and you spend a lot of time with those words, it's such a I think this is a key that a lot of I think the word needs to be not like how do you get famous on YouTube and how do you get your Spotify playlist to become like this is a healing tool that I think that we're tapping into that people don't even
Yeah.
know that now that this is here for that.
You know what? And as you're saying that, I'm thinking, I'm not sure if it was where you're going with it, but the fact that going kind of back to the AI thing, anybody can make a song
Hmm.
now. You don't have to play an instrument. You don't have to know somebody that can sing. You can sit down at your kitchen table for 10 minutes and have a song that you've written out and you can kind of listen to it and then relate to it and just do that loop. I'm not sure that's where you're going with it, but as you're saying,
That's
this is something
100%.
everybody.
It's like that totally fits in too. Because I'm just thinking the way
Yeah.
when I produce the songs too, like the more time I spend with it, the more emotionally attached I get to it. Like I've been like my songs are mostly, you know, they're humor with a message, but not like too deep, sort of stuff. There's stuff you can get out of it, but I listen to it, I get like, oh my god, I'm feeling something that's hitting or whatever, and people just people are just taking in a lot of negative shit all the time on social media, right? And it's just
Yeah.
feeding like sadness and depression and anger, and now this medium's out for people to put it out. And I think there's super amounts of healing when you take it out and you put it there. And whether someone else listens to it or not, in that context, isn't necessarily the most important thing.
Yeah, like going back to what you said, it can be a song you make and it never sees the light of day, but it's there for you, right?
Mm.
You know, personally, me, like, I like to put out all the songs I make just because I haven't hit that one song yet. I'm not sure I ever will, where I go, you know what? This one's just for me.
Mm.
But it can be, right? If someone doesn't want to be an artist and doesn't want to, have all their work shown because they're a bit more, private or something like that, that's fine. Have it in your phone, have it in your local files on Spotify or whatever, and just listen to it for you.
You can put it on your own private. You could publish to
Yep,
Spotify. No one's ever going to find it. You can just listen to your car as you're driving, and
yep,
you'd be like, "Hmm,
that too.
yeah, that's." I
100%
always
with you.
wonder, like, when people are up on
100%.
stage singing, like Canadian. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. You know, uh, I don't know Phil
I,
Collins. Phil Collins, right?
yeah, Phil
How dare
Collins.
you
Yeah,
not know who I was talking about immediately?
I knew the song
National
because
treasure. National
I just
treasure.
watched the Hangover movie,
Yeah.
so I know exactly what song you're
So
talking
that
about.
was
Yeah.
like deeply personal. He goes, and obviously like it was about his brother dying, falling through the ice, and he called the guys out that watched that watched it happen and didn't help when he was younger. And you just think, I always wonder, like, then for the next 40 years they're singing that song. Are they deeply connected to that song for 40 years, or is it kind of like, coming in the air tonight, the blah blah blah, or
Is that really what it's about? I
yeah,
actually
yeah.
never knew that. That's one of the songs I kind of just I've heard it so many times, so you always sing along to the chorus, but the rest of it you kind of just know
Uh,
the sound of it.
in Australia, it's about a gorilla playing drums to sell Cadbury chocolate. So I guess once the song goes out in
Okay.
the universe, it's anything.
Yeah,
Look it up.
yeah, yeah. No, I never knew that actually. That's very interesting to
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, dude.
Oh man,
Like, let me just see. Like, okay, we got all through there.
we can go past an hour if you want. I don't
The
care.
hour is pretty much what I need to hit on because I've got another one. I don't usually have two in one day, but I got one after that. But that's not a big deal. I can still go. I could probably delay the other one because the conversation's just really cool. So, what projects are you working on now? Like at the moment, or do you just work on stuff when it hits? Like I know some guys are like
Yeah.
going, I've got these two personas and I'm working. I've got ideas for the next 20 years and I'm just going to work on those. Is this something that just when stuff inspires you, you do, or do you, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, 100%.
I
So,
love that too. Yeah.
yeah, I don't really have personas. I I use them as a voice. I go, okay, I got this song I started, and I got to add stuff to it, so I just save it as the song's voice. I do think I'd like to eventually maybe get into having just one voice for all of them, but to me, like I like the fact that I can just have different voices or different styles per song because maybe tomorrow I have an idea for a country song, but the voice for a part doesn't fit it,
Mm.
right? So that's also really cool about the AI music. But to answer your question, stuff I'm working on, I do. The next one's called "The Truth," and it ties into relationship and what our grief we went through before. Which going into the inspiration is actually kind of interesting because I put out the song called "Apart," And then I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but there's a guy on here called Stay on Beat, and he does a live stream. I'm not sure if it's daily or weekly, but you can go on and have your song listened to. It's usually about 60 people in there. So uh, I paid my $10 to get a guaranteed play, right? And I had a part played, and people really liked it, and so did he actually. So I put the clip on my Facebook, and I had a bunch of people reach out to me who I haven't heard from in 5 plus years that I still have on Facebook. And I won't say his name, but he reached out to me because he really resonated with it. Because I don't know if you've listened to the song, but it's about, you're constantly fighting, not getting along, you're bickering, blah blah blah, and you're not sure if maybe this is the right person to be with anymore. That's the very rundown idea of the song.
It's
So I
okay to
started
think
talking
that
to
way, but I think every single person thinks that way, whether they're open about it or not. But yeah,
yeah, I put a little bit in there, like, the song goes, I'm narcissistic, you're an instigator, and it kind of runs down, properties that were in my relationship, because I used to be admittedly a bit narcissistic and didn't even realize it. I didn't really know what that meant, but now that I think back, yeah, actually I was very not easy to please, and just being vulnerable with you, just not the nicest I could have been. But you live and you learn, right? It's not just one side of the coin either. She did stuff that really shouldn't have been done either. But you
we've
know,
got human traits.
right? And this is just part of being open and honest and not lying about the past, right? So he listened to that, and then I was telling him about my other songs, and he gave me an idea for another song to do with about Holly, right? And he gave me one. I can't remember exactly what he said. It's in my messages, and I just went, you know what? Give me a second. I wrote out the first verse in about 30 seconds. Just that one conversation, and boom, I got my next song. So it really can come from anywhere,
Mm,
because half an hour before that, like I said in the video, I had no idea what I was going to write about next.
yeah, and
And
that seems pretty
now I got,
common with songwriters. Is it seems to just come, yeah.
yeah.
And for me, like it's ideas that come, not necessarily the words, but like I have a real strong urge to write a song about you know that topic, but I don't really get the words come to me until I start working it out.
For me, it's the idea, and I have to have the idea, and I have to have a way that kind of hits me for the sound I want to have.
Mm,
I have to have those two pieces to really run with it. And that's one problem I ran into with the song Apart is I had the first verse written for, I want to say, over a week. And I sat there and sat there and sat there like I have no idea what the next part of the song is. And I sat there, and I actually talked to one of the Sarahs on the phone that I mentioned earlier, and I have no idea where it's gonna go. And she's like, "You gotta stop overthinking it." And she was right, because I walked away from it for 3 days. I come to it. I had some free time. Like, okay, is this gonna be it? No,
mm,
wasn't the right thing. And I'm really glad that I didn't just force myself to say, you know what, good enough, put
mm,
it out,
mm.
because I know I would have regretted it, say, a week later.
You will. There's even songs like I put out. I go, oh, I should have. That one word is just grinding at me. It's just that one word
Yeah.
just doesn't work, And then once it's out, it's out.
Well, and that's just it too, right? Like that, and she calls me meticulous because I sat there for over an hour, a snippet about this long on the sound wave. I just could not get it out
Yeah,
because Suno's not perfect. It has problems.
yeah, it does. It does.
Um,
But we're all here because
I
I think we have faith that you know it's going to evolve and it's going to be close to exactly what you want it to be at some point.
yeah, I sat there just. I knew I did. I just had to get this out because it was imperfect to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, yeah. No, that's the next song, and I think after this one, I want to kind of just leave it alone for a while because at that point, I put out 3 songs about the same subject,
Yeah.
and let's call it a month, right? I don't want it to just be repetitive. Oh, that's all he writes about. Which I'm not saying people would say that, but for me, I want to try and broaden it some more besides that, right?
Yeah.
And after that, I have no idea what the next song will be. No idea where I'll get inspiration.
No, it's funny. Like I'll get three in one day and then nothing for a month. That
Yep,
it's funny.
yep,
And then with those
100%.
three, it'll just be like, dude, I have, and until you get it out, it's just grinding it. You got to do it, and you just. I don't know if
Oh
you're
yeah,
like me too. Like I think if I don't get on this, it's gonna be lost.
that too. Yeah, like for me, like my day to day, I run a big truck. I run a vac truck, right? So I'll go to oil rigs, clean tanks, blah blah blah, and I'll be sitting in there cleaning a tank and thinking about a song like, okay, so if I go like
That's
this and I change the
it's a
lyrics,
good way to get
it's
through your day is having something to
honestly,
think about like that
because
too.
if I'm in a tank for 3 hours, I got nothing else to do except for pressure wash and squeegee.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, I wonder what the music would
it's
sound
funny.
like inside a pressure tank.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that'd be
Oh,
interesting.
check that out.
I would,
You
but I
heard it
think
here
I'd be run
first.
off of the site.
Nice. Look,
Oh man.
why don't we? Unless you got something pressing, why don't we
Nope.
wrap it up by some one? I'm gonna see. Like I was thinking, do I do this? Do I do this? And I think, do I put them under pressure? Who are a couple favorite of the people in the community that say, comment around or that follow you? Follow like, is there anybody in particular that you like in the AI music community, supportive or that's been encouraging?
I haven't been around long enough yet to really have a group that I'm part of. There are a few guys who I can't remember their names.
You mentioned
I
Dave.
just
You mentioned Dave is that I interviewed.
well, yeah, if Dave, yeah, I took what he said with the listening to it 10 times. If you can, then it's probably a good song, right? So I've never actually had the chance of speaking to Dave. And like I said, I haven't been around long enough, I think, to really have a group that I associate with. I'd like to. And there are a few guys who have come from when you featured my song to my channel and subscribed. There's one of them who commented on the video where I talked about AI itself and how I feel about the swing against it, which I also had a big conversation, which I know you're part of in the comments section. But one guy reached out and said, "You know what? I agree with everything you said.
Hmm.
Because I try to be fair, right? Like I understand how some people feel, and it's not
Hmm.
necessarily that they're wrong. I can't understand like if someone takes it very seriously, like they've practiced for years with the guitar, or they practiced for years on the drums, and then hone their craft, and now we come in and we have a computer.
Yeah.
It's not the same to them, right?
Yeah. But it could be. I'll,
Which
I'll,
I
I'll tell you.
understand.
I'll tell you. Probably 30-40% started off as that guy. For then all of a sudden, no one wants to play in their band anymore. They have a disability. They're old, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
this is what they have and they love it. So if you're that guy
100%.
or that girl, don't go too hard on your opinion of hating because this might be what you have at some point.
Yep. Well, not sure if you can really call it the same, but you know, during the pandemic, this is what we had with computers.
Mm,
If you didn't have a computer to work from home, you may not have had a job for the 3 years, yeah, right?
yeah,
So it's not the same, but it's still adapting, right?
yeah,
We adapted to the pandemic. So if you can't play the guitar anymore, if your band split up, but you still love making music, you adapt. You got the computer with the AI on it. That's a couple different ways to look at it, right?
yeah. Well, that's right. And also, like, I'm not a fan of people going, um, I play the guitar and I learn the guitar, so you shouldn't be able to do this. I'm not really a fan of people that try to take things away from people that they enjoy. I'm just not we'll call this the participation trophy if you want. At worst case, I'm not a fan of taking people's participation trophies away either, because some people, you know, they that's the positive thing they got. They get something, it's something to keep them going. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't think AI
I,
music is a participation trophy. I'm just saying, if you're gonna view it worst case, look at it that way and let people have what they have.
well, that's the other thing too. Like the cool thing about AI music, like I've said, is you don't have to do one style.
Mm,
You can do multiple different styles. Like I put out one a couple days ago that I normally would never have done.
mm.
It was more of an EDM style. It's not something that I would have done if unless someone asked me to. But the funny thing is, it's my fastest growing song yet.
Mm.
So I do also appreciate the versatility and the variability in what you can do, and be interested in trying something new with AI music because really, it's not going to tell you no.
No,
You give it
that's
an
right.
idea you got,
Exactly.
it's going to spit it out.
So
And
true.
maybe it's not something that maybe you're proud of, and that's fine. I didn't spend 8 hours on a computer and just, it didn't work out. It was 20 minutes, or maybe you spent an hour on it. But at least you tried, right? Kind of gives you that ability to dip your toes in the water of multiple different things.
Yeah, and this might be something you need and you don't even know. Look, I could easily talk to you for a very long time, and we probably will talk again. But what I might do is just wrap it up at this stage, because I think we touched on some really cool things,
Sure.
and I think it's digestible at this point. I think if we go on, it's going to be two friends talking about some really cool stuff. you know,
I was thinking the same thing. Like, I see another chat coming
Yeah,
in the
yeah, I'm happy to
future.
keep chatting and stuff. Like I like these
Yeah,
things too because it makes like it's an hour long connection, and I end up just talking to people about their like stuff comes up, and I'll talk to people in like WhatsApp, or I'll talk through the website or whatever. So I appreciate that. But Dylan, thanks for checking out Dilly Hits. Check out his channel. I'll definitely put it in the links below. And any links that you think are important, just provide them to me, and I'll do that. I'll try to remember to
sure.
do that. If whatever media you're through Spotify and things, we'll do that. But keep an eye on Dilly Hits. Obviously, he doesn't release 20 of the day, so the stuff that he does is really impactful. Put the comments in his thing. Subscribe here. Also, it's very important.
I
I
really
can,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
no worries. Thanks, Dilly. Thanks, Dylan. And we will catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.